My name is Cheryl Thigpen. I've been at Shadowbrook since the very beginning. We're charter members.
My name's Donnie Thigpen, and I've been at Shadowbrook 40 years. We were high school sweethearts and married, very young family, and we were here at when it first came to be. There was 100 of us that, for different reasons, we were members at Suwanee First Baptist Church, and we chose to leave, not really knowing what God had in store for us. We just trusted Him that it was a new beginning, and we wanted a place that would nurture our kids, that our kids could grow in maturity, and so we began Shadowbrook Church.
It was a place where our children could grow. They could learn about Jesus. They could learn about God. We also could learn about Jesus and God. We also were able to work and use some of our talents and broaden out to the community. It was just a good, loving place to be.
A lot of the roads were dirt roads. It was an agricultural community, really, and Shadowbrook was a exciting place to be. 40 years ago, I'm 34 years old, full of fire, enthusiasm. We had started a construction company. We built metal buildings. That was what we did for a living. So when Shadowbrook was formed, you know, there was 100 of us, and we felt like we could grow, and God bless this church on the hill. We grew by leaps and bounds, and so we looked to see how we could get into a building the fastest, the most economical, and the way to do that in that time frame was a metal building. There was expertise in the membership to do that. Subcontractors, electrical, plumbers, and so my brother did all the concrete work on the building, sold the building to the church, and my company did the erection. We started with, I believe it was 8,000 square foot out in the very front there. And in record time, we built it. I believe our first service in it was in folding chairs on a concrete floor. Cheryl's dad was the first funeral preached in the church.
The Saturday before the first time the church met as a church, on the concrete floor with the chairs.
Yeah.
Very, very, very moving.
Yeah, and our oldest son was the first one baptized in the Coldwater Baptistry. Many of us would work on our regular jobs, and then we'd come over here and work till 10, 11 o'clock at night. I never will forget when Carl and Thelma came to Shadowbrook, and it was right at the time we first started building here, and he was given, Brother Ken, our first pastor, he was very frugal, and so Carl's job was to go around as we built walls and drove nails, and he would pick up all the nails that we had bent or we had dropped, and he would straighten them out so we could use them again. That was what Brother Ken gave him, that assignment. Just so many memories.
I can remember one special thing to my heart when we were building the church. My father had cancer and was dying of cancer. He wasn't able to get out and work, but I can remember him sitting in a lawn chair where we were building the auditorium, and our 2-year-old son, his grandson, was sitting with him, and they were just watching Donnie and everybody else work. And it was a church before we ever met as a church, as far as being a body of Christian people working together to serve God.
Yeah, first time we met in a church setting was at the Suwanee Fire Department, right down the street here, and we met outside. They had a covered area where they parked their farm equipment or their street equipment, and they would pull it out, and we would have our gathering underneath that covered shed. But our little Bible study classes was underneath trees, and it was in the spring. I believe we went.
brought our lawn chairs.
I believe we went 12, maybe even 14 Sundays, and never had a drop of rain. Never had a drop of rain. Yeah.
And after that, when it got colder, we moved into the gym at Suwanee Elementary School.
Yeah.
And we met there for Sunday school when we did that in some church.
I see so many similarities between the early church and the church today. Most of us were very young, in 30s and 40s, and so we had a lot of energy. In our gatherings, we'd hear baby, and there were young families. And when I look around in our gathering and I see young families and I hear baby in the background, it brings back those memories.
Ken Allen, a mother's heart went out to him. He loved children. He wanted to involve the children in everything.
He was more than just a pastor. He was dedicated to his assignment. He expected you to work, whether you were a child or an employee. And at the time, I think he was the perfect fix for where Shadowbrook was.
I agree.
Youth-oriented, children-oriented, a new beginning, and very intelligent in the building construction part. I think he was just a perfect fit. We've been very fortunate for a Baptist church. 3 pastors in 40 years. That's quite amazing.
Yeah, Bobby Linkus, he was younger. He was younger than we are. He had a heart for God. He did. And there again, he had the love for the children, which is, to me, is so important to keep a church growing. You've got to keep growing and offer stuff for the children, for families to come and feel comfortable bringing there. And Bobby just stepped right in. He's still a dear friend to us.
Yeah, Bobby was a very young man when he came to Shadowbrook, and dedicated to the youth. And there again, I think at the time and the right timing there, he was just a perfect pastor for us. He was hands-on. Yeah, he was more of the grandfather. Bobby was more of the, not a father, but more of a role model.
Adult role model.
Yeah, an adult role model.
Parent, yeah.
So he was a blessing in our life. Mm-hmm. God had his hand in Jared's coming to Shadowbrook. I was honored, blessed to serve on the committee.
Search committee.
What? Search committee, yeah. Looking for words. And we had 250 applicants for the job here at Shadowbrook Church. And this guy in California popped up. And we went from 250 to 150. He's still there. We went from 150 to 75. He's still there. And we got down to 5, and this pastor, Jared Rumbley from California, is still there. And lo and behold, he comes and preaches, and the church votes for him to come. I think it was God sent. I really do. Different than Brother Ken, different than Bobby Linkus. Shadowbrook is not the same church now as it was then. Suwanee is not the same community now as it was then. God had his hand in Jared coming here. I really do believe that. And I think he's the perfect fix. Does he preach the word dynamically? Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, every Sunday. Love to hear him preach. He's our pastor, and I love him to death.
I think Shadowbrook is more a younger church now, which is good to me. That's the way to keep a church going. But we have not neglected the senior people. And that's what we like about it, you know. Through all the changes, it's still our home, no matter what. And I know many people right now that I could call on and say, I need you, and they'd say, let me get my keys, you know, I'm on my way. And it's hard to find that sometimes doing that. And we're very thankful to be a member of this church and to be a part of it.
My prayer for Shadowbrook is that long after we are gone, long after the charter members of Shadowbrook are gone, that Shadowbrook will still be a vessel that God can use for the community here. Yeah. When we first started Shadowbrook, I think our thinking was a little different. We thought that church was within the walls, the four walls, and we had to have the doors open all the time, and any activities were here on top of the hill. Now our thinking, I think, is more to the community. And the life group is living life together. Am I opposed to change? Lord, no. Let's see what God has in store for us. I just feel like that God's looked down on us and he smiled upon us.